Today's episode is proudly sponsored by Hellbender Vinyl. For those of you that don't know, Hellbender is a vinyl record pressing plant located right here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, doing high quality, professional, top of the line record pressing, baby. We finally got one here. There aren't very many in the world, let alone the country, and to have one right under our nose is an insane resource. So if you are a musician looking to get some stuff pressed to wax, I highly recommend checking out the folks over at Hellbender. Tell them Sykes sent you. I've always wanted to say that. Without further ado, let's get into today's episode. Sit back, relax, and let's start the beats. Brown Angel's in the building. Make some noise for the internet.
Thanks, internet.
Yes. So for anyone out there on planet Earth or beyond that is unfamiliar, Brown Angel is a 3-piece, whatever type of music you want to call it, loud guitar bullshit, adjacent, noisy, artsy, not pretentious and somehow pretentious all at the same time type of music. And you've been making music for about 45 years and you're still doing it. Why?
5 years. It's the only.
You got it right.
It's the only alternative. Why? It's the only alternative.
They won't let me quit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blood in, blood out.
He's trying. I keep trying.
But no, in all seriousness, y'all have been putting out music since like the early 2000s, correct?
Mm-hmm. We're in our 20th year, in all seriousness.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're almost old enough to drink.
The free Start the Beat sticker.
Yeah.
For a birthday.
That's 20 years and all I got's this fucking sticker.
No.
We appreciate we got here.
We appreciate it. So we started in 2005, I believe. Was that our first?
Yeah.
When was the first show?
2006.
2006.
January.
And was that in the
Or
basement
February.
of Penn 4919 Penn? I only remember that because
I think that was Garfield Artworks.
Yeah.
I
I
think
it
we
was
opened for Torch.
Yes.
That was it.
That was it.
Right. That was our first show.
That was it. And that was
There were about 10 people there.
First show. It was a lot of fun.
15.
We got to play with the
Band members.
Yeah. And it's back whenever. Well, whenever there was a Garfield Artworks.
Band members are people too. They count.
So strange.
The gents from Torch were very charitable, and they were very.
They wouldn't let us play on their gear though.
Well,
I don't remember that.
Yeah. But so that was 20 years, but I mean, we've been sort of going at it in fits and starts since. I think if you cumulate, I was trying to figure if like cumulatively the amount of time that we've actually spent in the same room, say at a practice, playing a show, or otherwise just kind of congregating under the context of doing band stuff, it's probably more like 5 years. You know what I mean? It's like how many years do you spend, how many years do you spend in a lifetime? 8?
About 8 years. Yeah.
The first 5 were pretty steady.
We've been a band for about 8 or 9 years out of the 20 years that those 8 or 9 are inside of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then it kind of like vacillates between like, I don't know, like a main project and a side project for one or all.
Yeah.
Of
like
the
right now,
members.
the last time we played a show was maybe about 4 years ago.
Is that long?
I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope we can.
Maybe,
Yeah, the last
I can still
maybe
scream.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
The last time I played with you was Voivod at the craft.
Yeah.
That was the last.
Maybe about
Yeah.
3 years
And
ago.
then you guys did 2 others.
Yeah. So, by way of introduction, I guess. Should we do that?
Sure.
I'm not commandeering things. I
It's
am
your
not a
hour.
podcast host
Do whatever you want with
myself.
it, baby. Go crazy.
We only get an hour?
Yeah. Hour-ish.
To my right, the Lord of sub 30 hertz, or is it 40 hertz?
A lot of hertz.
Yeah. Mike Rensland.
That's me. Hey,
Hi, Mike.
wonderful.
Thanks
on
for
the bass
being here.
guitar, and the illustrious and otherwise, I was gonna say, I can't think of any kind of superlative for you, John, other
Don't.
than incredible
Don't.
and the uncanny. Because I'm looking at the X-Men video game, the uncanny John Roman, who's been in
The-
many
The
bands
milkshake
over the years.
muncher himself. How many milkshakes you drink a week? You probably got a solid 2 in you.
One.
1?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
It's like your daily
But that's
intake.
nice.
yeah.
It's your daily intake for calories.
like
It's-
one for like if you just count the weekdays.
Okay, so we don't count weekend milkshakes.
No, that's different.
When did
Really,
you switch from
really-
the little containers of ice cream
It's
to
like
the
the off
full-on
the clock.
milkshake?
I don't know, maybe about like 5 years ago.
Huh.
Somewhere. This was like I think it might have been a pandemic thing.
Had to get a little extra, so I had to put some milk in with the ice
I would
cream.
presume that
Yeah.
this is going to be B-roll.
I got you.
Speaking of milkshakes, we got a new record.
You have not introduced yourself, my friend.
Ah! My name's Adam McGregor. I play guitar and kind of puke my guts out as the occasion merits for Brown Angel. I've done this now since we started in 2005. So yeah, we get together. We convene whenever we can. I think we sort of came to an arrangement some years ago that this is not going to be like your typical band, right? And that's fine. We don't really define ourselves as, whenever we are together, though, we do function as a typical band.
Sure.
In the sense that, although I might demo stuff and send to these guys, just to kind of get the ideas in circulation and get them thinking about their parts, right? It's all about getting together in the practice space and just like hammering it out.
Yeah, totally.
Whenever the three of us are like in the same locale. So that's always been something that's been very important to me. I can't really, I've tried to do the fully whatever, like the telepresent, send my tracks and
Oh,
kind
for
of
sure.
thing, you know what I mean? Like the across the ocean, like, or like out of state, whatever, like remote projects and whatnot. And I don't know, I guess I'm just too old school or whatever, it doesn't mean that I'm not presuming to be any kind of like, oh, I'm above that. I'm just like too dumb to figure out, what's the best way to do it, and make it sound like what we want it to sound like, which
Sure.
is like a band, 3 guys playing together at suffocating volume, and there's interplay there that you just miss with anything else. So, but yeah, I think that a lot of that approach shows on the new record. Definitely it had on the previous, I guess on the first 2, because that was, we were living in the same city at the time, and we were more conventional at that point, right? But on the flip side, I've always thought of it, and John's mentioned this too, in the past, where it's like we like to think of Brown Angel as just, every project, every recording project, even every gig or whatever, it's sort of a snapshot of where we are at the time, right? So if it is, it might sound a little bit different this time around because, the the process might have changed slightly,
Mhm.
right? In terms of, composition or, I mean, I think that I did actually put some supplemental tracks or record some supplemental tracks at home for this for the newest album, Promise Maker. But even that was quite a long time
Supplemental. What do
coming.
you mean by that?
Supplemental stuff. There's some additional synthesizers and
Okay.
just other sounds and that kind of thing that I cooked up in
I thought you meant other songs.
the home studio. No. So yeah, what do you think, Mike?
I think your story's wonderful.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of unnecessary pressure that musicians or bands put on themselves to be like full time we're in it. If we're not doing this balls to the wall, we're not doing it. And I
Right.
think that that's like
Right.
actually like a pretty like toxic and self-defeating way to go about trying to create art, especially if you're
Yeah.
just like on the level that we are, which is like you got to kind of humble yourself and be like, look, we're not getting paid to do this. We don't have people throwing fucking money in our pockets to go
Precisely,
live
yeah.
in a studio for a fucking
Yeah.
month or to go be on the road. It's like,
Yeah.
no, if we can put out a record once every fucking 10 years, we still did it. There's like a greater story to be told.
And again, I mean, this isn't to sound, although you said we were pretentious, but that's okay. This isn't really, this isn't to play into your hands like that, but I mean, we do this for different reasons. This is not a money making. This is not a. Jesus, if this were a business, like we could write off everything, man.
Sure.
What are we thinking? We should have put an LLC, 20 years ago.
Much easier ways to make music
Exactly.
or to make money, I would say.
But we do this for different reasons. We do this as a means of expression. I mean, that's as cliche as you can get, really. Ask an artist why they do what they do, and it's to get out, those things that I can't verbally otherwise, right? It gives us the opportunity to play loud, aggressively, much more aggressively than we do in any of the other projects that we've been part of, right? And with zero compromise, really. We don't have, we don't have the, I guess, I don't know. I've never felt the pressure to kind of slot us into, although, I'm a metalhead since like birth, basically, right? But I could never get into a metal band, right? I could never get into like just a straight up thrash band.
Like you could never like play in a band. That's what
Well-
you're saying. Like you can never get into playing in a band is what you're.
Well, no, what I mean to say is like any band that I put together, it has elements of metal, right?
Oh yeah.
But it winds up, I think I said in somebody years ago, is like it winds up too weird for the metal crowd and too metal for the weird crowd.
Oh yeah, I get that. Yeah.
That's been like the story of my life, and that's not just that's not just me blowing smoke like,
There
oh, I'm
always
so
has to be some
sophisticated.
sort of broken aspect, and for better or for worse, I think I'm kind of in the same boat. Even though I don't necessarily want to be, but I think maybe some people have thought that I want to be. It's like no, I want to be normal and accepted. I want to play fun music.
Yeah.
But
I relate to this too, but for me, it's like this is my normal. And it's like my normal doesn't meet what other people's definition of normal is. Like if I were to like try to put myself in my creativity into some sort of a box that to be more acceptable, that would actually take way more mental energy than me just being me.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm way past the point of even giving a fuck about being accepted anymore.
And you know what? It's most interesting whenever we don't jibe with the expectations of the listener, the audience, or whatever. Mike, Giorgio's
Perfect. Yeah.
2006.
Perfect segue.
We
We
if
play
you will.
this ballroom of a pizza shop.
Giorgio's.
Giorgio's.
Pizza.
Oh yeah,
yes.
Electric Avenue,
Yeah.
East Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
baby.
You
Never
got it.
forget.
Right
You got
across,
it,
right
yes.
across from
R.I.P. Giorgio's.
right across from Hollywood Show Bar.
Mhm.
This is the good part.
Also R.I.P.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh,
Either way, so we play, and it's like local metalheads pretty much in the crowd. And this guy comes up to us. He sits me down. He's like, "Yo, man, I got some kids at home. I don't get to go out much. And when I like to go out, I really like to have a lot of fun. And you guys are just no fun." It was
little
one of
did
those,
he know. He just
it was the most spot on interpretation of this band.
And
that
from
I've
that
ever
day
heard.
on, that was the pull quote for like any
Yeah,
bit
not,
of promo.
not being ironic or anything.
Right.
It
Oh, my God.
That was this guy's
He's just like
honest
wow.
opinion of
Yeah,
what
he
we
was,
did to
he
him
was
that night.
sincere.
It's like we swindled this guy. Like
Yeah.
we were not what we were selling. He was
Oh.
not buying. You know what I mean? He wasn't even in the market. I think it was just like, but you know, we do it for us, and I've said before, it's like, I just don't. I don't know. I mean, if I make. It isn't like our music is like incredibly avant-garde,
No.
right? Or alienating or anything like that. I once described it as, you know, it's like folk music, but just at like, you know, 747 engine volume, you know, for the
Sure.
most part. The structures are rather simple. You know, it's lately it's been very sort of rhythmically based, right? Like we were I was kind of getting a lot more inspiration from just you know, I've always been into like, you know, like early industrial and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, like early Swans and like SPK and, you know, all this just the really gnarly stuff. You know,
Sure.
there's that one Throbbing Bristle tune, Discipline, that it's the rhythm just sounds like a bunch of broken arcade
good one.
games or something. It's really good. It's really good. And we do need some discipline.
Yeah, I think
But,
you know, you get into like that kind of stuff, or like
Yeah.
like the Neubauten stuff, or
Mhm.
like this is all music, and I could say this about Brown Angel too, where it's like it requires a certain level of patience
Thanks.
to
Yeah.
take it in.
Patience from the performer also.
Yeah.
Patience from us, because these things, many a time I will come in with like a you know, a surefire, like this is the way that this is going to sound like, and then these guys, as they are supposed to do, kind of take over and add their voices, and it becomes
Yeah.
something totally different, you know. So I have to be patient with the process, right, as it plays out,
Mhm.
and you know, just what do they say?
It's a bit more of a power play than other bands I play in.
Yeah.
Yeah, where there's like you can feel this like push and pull across the room. You know, we're during like writing and rehearsing.
Sure.
You know, whereas I don't know if we just haven't learned to communicate.
You know, you're using tension as an instrument
Yeah.
in a way.
And I guess there's a lot of like feedback and full volume going on, and you're trying to explain something, and the other person just doesn't acknowledge you because they're not aware that you're trying to get their
Yeah,
attention.
and sometimes that lack of communication is part of the process too. Sometimes it's mistakes, like the fuck ups. You know what I mean?
Oh,
One
yeah.
of our as a matter, one of our like the, you know, the hit single off of Shutout, you know, that our 2016 record, which I should mention is on the Sleeping Giant Glossolalia label. We've been working with them for about the past 10 years or so. So
Yeah.
the new one's on that as well. But that particular song, See That I Am Scourged, which there's a video for, actually, if you go to the Brown Angel YouTube, you can check it out. That was based upon like a glitch, like I think it was a mix. What was it? It was a loop or something that I took from one of our practice tapes, but like the digital recorder like screwed up or something. So it was this lopsided like 5/4 groove. And I used that as kind of the compositional idea, the central
Sure.
compositional idea for that. Right?
Sure.
And we just kind of, and then, from there, we just kind of went off the rails in regard to like, arrangement and like timbre and, everything like that. But, oftentimes like I think the biggest successes for us are just sort of it's based on I don't know, something that almost hits what we believe the mark to be, right? So it's the approximation of what we think is right. You know what I mean?
No,
Winds
totally.
up being, oh, that's it. And I think that's kind of where the magic happens.
Yeah, and going back to a point that you brought up earlier about like trying to like compose and create remotely, there's no wonder you have a hard time doing that
Yeah.
because like so much of what I'm understanding about your creative process involves that tension and those happy accidents and like that compromise that you can't have if you're just one
Exactly.
person sitting in front of a computer
Exactly.
where everything's just sterile. You know,
Exactly.
this is like a very unsterile format
Yeah.
that Brown Angel exists in.
Although sometimes, mistakes were made on some of the home demos that I have put together. And sometimes those persist into the final version.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like to think of it as Adam will come in with something for me and John, and then it's me and John. It's our job to ruin it for him. So it's pretty perfect the way he has it, and that's the problem. So we just take it apart a little bit, just a little bit,
But it
just enough,
needs-
just a little bit.
Yeah, it needs like the wooliness, I guess, that you guys provide, which I can only because, I don't presume to be able to even like approximate your individual voices, right? And a lot of the stuff that I have written remotely, I think like, well, what's a beat that would kind of be John Roman-esque, like the whole, like, the cyborg, like clatter. Lots of hi-hat.
Yeah. Sounds like you can't play.
Yeah. And then, and then fucking demo something that
What is this guy doing?
yeah. He's like, this is unplayable, but then we work it out. And that's why, the good old fashioned practice, 3 guys in a room with earplugs. that's where that comes in. So that's an essential ingredient. We can never be a fully, like, I don't know, remote recording project ever. The push and pull thing also, because a lot of the stuff that I put together is, it's programmed drums. And I use like janky old like drum machines and stuff just because like like I said, I'm too lazy to learn the proper, what are the get good drums or like any of those things, right?
Sure.
So I just sit there late at night, tapping buttons, right? And but then, I like it to be mechanistic, but I like it to be John Roman mechanistic, right? So his sort of human take on the that kind of ratcheting rhythms that he's just it's impossible to put into words, really. It's impossible to put into words. I like John's got a very unique voice. Mike's got such a unique voice with regard to just the presence, the like the minimalism, we used to call you the abandoned oil tanker. Bass tone,
Mike
because
gets a
it was
lot
like
out of one note.
yes.
I can go for many
That
songs.
is his specialty.
Yes.
Mike's, I think, I don't know, man. If you're not comfortable with me saying so, we can edit this out. But I think Mike's the MVP of Brown Angel because I don't think that this band could really carry on convincingly, put it that way, with what we started. He's such an elemental part of that.
It's like my life. Do as little as possible for maximum result.
Yeah. Maximum amplification. Yeah. And but yeah, so we kind of, once we freed ourselves from the fact that, this has to be a regular band that convenes, every so often. I mean, there's impossibilities. Life happens. Life has taken some turns,
Of
for
course.
us, and we got other commitments. We got other just everything. But the fact remains that we need to do this, right? We're not doing it for, at least I should speak for myself. I don't do this for really anything other than the effect that it produces for me. The release, the catharsis, whatever. The what do we say? I think like in our presser that I put together and now regret because I think it's kind of dumb. Actually, if I could rewrite it, I probably would. But it's just like how we like clear rooms or whatnot, and it's like yeah. I mean, how many? There's like tons of like noise rock bands or whatever. They probably have put that. They're like, oh yeah, we clear rooms, whatever. But I don't know. There's something to how we have unintentionally alienated audiences, I guess, through not because we want to, but it's just because we are playing inwards, right?
Yeah.
We are sort of it's solipsism of a level that I haven't really experienced in any other kind of musical project that I've been in. Except maybe if I'm doing like free improv or something like
Sure.
that, then perhaps something like that, just because like you're so engaged with the moment, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it all loops back around to patience again. And I think that there is a really interesting thing, an observation that I've kind of just made over time playing in heavy bands and seeing other heavy bands, is that a lot of people that are going for live entertainment, especially that like heavy music, they're kind of like meathead, whatever, not necessarily looking for an artistic sort of expression, patience type of thing. They just want to see heavy music go boom, boom, loud. I punch my friend. I drink a beer.
Exactly.
And like, that's great. I relate with that.
That is great.
But I think that makes bands like you and maybe stuff that I've done too, where it's like, oh, like you're doing a thing and I'm not here for the thing.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
I want to like, where's the breakdown, bro?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. That's not what this is.
I mean, like if this is a gimmick, then it's like shit. It's like a 20 freaking year gimmick. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean,
like,
this
is just sort of a.
I think that there's just like a very, I don't know. It's just like an unfortunate side effect of like this sort of like alternative heavy music subculture, is that there's a lot of people that just don't care about the artistic nature of things. Like, okay, so like as a teenager, I had like a graffiti phase as a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of different elements to being a graffiti writer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like I'm 15 years old running around with a marker, and then I start getting more
Just all wild style.
but I get more interested in the artistic
Yeah.
elements of it, right?
Yeah.
But there's factions of the graffiti community where it's like there are people that like don't give a fuck about the art stuff, and it's all about just, write your name, get up as much as possible. The art of it is like you're a fucking cornball if you're like approaching this from any sort of art standpoint. It's almost kind of like the like art, noise rock, heavy metal, punk, hardcore, then like bro Jimmy hardcore type stuff. Like a lot of that mentality, a lot of those graffiti kids operate, and it's like these are just two different worlds.
Yeah.
And sometimes these people get put together in the same place, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
like oil and vinegar, ranch dressing and vanilla ice cream. It just ain't mixing.
Okay. Yeah. So
Isn't there something great about that though?
Yeah, I mean, I like it because I'm a fucking freak. I'm a real freak, unlike these other poser freaks.
well, I mean, I'm not even going to say when it happened. You guys are going to know, and I'm definitely. I got way too much. I got way too much class to say who did it, who said it. But I don't really have much class. We played a show in town once, and a few bands after, I guess there was maybe like 3 or 4 bands played. It was like a festival. And one of the bands as they were doing like a line check, started like the guitar player making feedback or something, and he's just like, "Hey, yeah, I'm Brown Angel, and I was just kind of like, yeah, fuck you,
Yeah.
but like, but I'm okay with that being the impression. You know what I mean? It's like the superficial. If that's all you get out of it, then mission accomplished. I guess.
I mean, you could probably just as easily make a similar joke about whatever stereotypical dumb thing that band was doing, if you wanted to.
But I wouldn't.
Whoever they may be.
But I wouldn't, because I got class.
Biting my tongue so hard right now.
What
Because I remember this.
Yeah.
I definitely remember that.
Yeah.
But I think what people don't realize
Yeah,
is
it was fucking shit.
behind all this noise, there's always a melody that's happening. And trust me, I know, because Adam always yells at me when I play the wrong notes. So things do have to match up. You just don't notice it as much because you hear the feedback. If you kind of focus more in on what's happening, there is a lot more happening in the song than just straight up noise and confusion.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to it. But a lot of people just get immediately turned off by the loud sounds.
Yeah.
And that kind of is
the volume and the density and the dissonance, and these are all the essential ingredients of the brew, right?
Yeah.
They're never not going to be there. There's going to be, there were some things that, like, on past records where, well, I mean, especially on Agate Harvest, right, where we really started kind of toying more, or I guess I was bringing stuff to the table that was much more,
Palatable.
melodic, I guess,
Yeah.
palatable. I mean, yeah, I'm thinking of a song like, Humiliation Day, or one of them. Well, we still do You Can Find Heartbreak Anywhere, which we're going to be putting back into our set. And that sort of was like an artistic cul-de-sac for me, right? Because it was like, I'm just gonna call out the elephant in the room here. Godflesh, Yezu, Justin Broderick, like, enormous influence, cannot be understated, on me for, since like 89, whenever I heard like Street Cleaner, right? So, but what I always admired about him was the fact that he was very good at kind of circumscribing where one project boundaries end and where another project boundaries begin, right?
Yeah.
So it's like whenever Godflesh, I'm thinking on that one, what's that one record? Hymns. Like the last song on Hymns, which, the last song on Hymns is called Yezu, but it doesn't really sound like what Yezu would later take off to become. Actually, there's a hidden track on there, actually. I can't remember what it's called, but it was very, very, like, just sort of like, Red House Painters, Codeine, kind of like just slow, somber, heartfelt, heavily, more melodic than anything probably that preceded it, like on any of his previous output. But then that became sort of the cut point for, Yezu. And of course, Godflesh kind of took a hiatus for many years, and, Yezu became his. So aside from, him being a major musical influence on me, I like the way that he sort of compartmentalized things, right? This idea is not good for Godflesh. So, but I'm going to pop it into Yezu. I was not doing that until maybe our third record. And I think that maybe, like, like I said, there's essential ingredients of Brown Angel's music that are always going to be present. Typical ideas about like melody and, song structure and sort of, quote unquote pop arrangements and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
At large. Not so much. If they are there, they're going to be much more subtle than they were, say, on some of the tracks that were on Agonal Harvest. Of course, on Agonal Harvest, if you turn around and what's that one tune that we never do anymore? The one that's like somebody said, "Oh, it sounds like New York hardcore." And I was like, "What are you listening to?" Like New York hardcore after you like inhale like a baggie of nitrous. Like what, man? But
Quaalude core.
Quaalude cores. Oh, can we talk about drugs?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Please.
This one time, and this was at another recent show, and it was Mike was not playing with us, so this was maybe when as irreplaceable as Mike is, we do have a couple of understudies, but with the understanding that Mike's a family man and everything, so when other obligations come about, then one of these chaps, Justin Pelissaro, he was in Vicious Blade for a while, and then he's been in tons of, he's a lifer. He's like a long time, I shouldn't say old, he's a long time scene guy, right?
Sure.
He played in Davenport, like this is like way reaching back, into my Greensburg, Latrobe area, like indie music background here. But we played at Brillo, and after we were finished, and it was like a particularly like pummeling set. Like the audience was like way back against the wall, and I think that was whenever I was using my full stack.
You might have.
I think I was still using my full stack, which I've since scaled back a little bit because it was ruining the suspension in John's face. After the gig, and she's like, I just never really like that. I just feel it, like the waves, like it. And she kind of had this spacey, dreamy look in her eye,
Mm-hmm.
And I was thanked profusely, whatever. Hadn't seen this person out at shows or anything like that before. I mean, I've been out of town or whatever, but I'm like the an ice.
She had a good time.
Yeah. You should be like may I recommend cigarette dipped in PCP. That might be more. That might be, you might get more out of it from in terms of like just massive head explosion death trip.
I think we're fairly stoner friendly, but that's just me.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe it's just my take on it.
stoner friendly.
Yeah.
Well, I think that I feel very confident in saying that I know every single person that sits at this table probably has like a borderline encyclopedic type of knowledge about music and the type of things that we digest on a daily or weekly basis. We'll listen to all kinds of different shit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing, is it like there's a lot of people that are like us that listen to all kinds of music but make like really fucked up heavy shit. And I think you need those type of people that have that patience and understanding to be like, oh, like I could see where this is coming from with like a freeform jazz thing or folk music running through an airplane turbine or whatever the fuck you said. Like that's like, it's just like, I find that like when you're taking in that much different type of music and things, again, this is like the word of the fucking hour, but the patience that is required to just like digest art and to be able to have the patience to understand like, oh, like this is something that I've never seen or heard before. Let me try to figure this out rather than being like, oh, I thought I was going to a fucking rock and roll show, and what are they doing?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Constant Hell guys.
Yes. Best band in Pittsburgh. On the record. Best band in Pittsburgh.
So yeah, we played.
I've told them this to their face. Amazing.
Amazing. We played with them last night at Poetry, and like, you know, I'm friends with those guys. They've been on the podcast a bunch of times, and we've played plenty of shows with them. But it never fails. Like every time I see them play, there's always multiple people in the room that are like, "What the fuck is going on?"
They're
right
so
now?
good. Let me tell you this. Let me tell you. They hark back, for me. They hark back to a time whenever, you know, like you would hear extreme music, right? And it would be unsettling, right?
Yeah.
To the point where,
More than
like,
words.
you don't know. Yeah. Exactly. To the point where, you know, there were some local bands, some bands from the Bill Vernon area. Chaotic Plague, one. Let me see. Hideous Manglius was another one, right?
Yeah.
It was kind of whenever grindcore and like that kind of like extreme, almost like splatter, almost like, you know, like, I don't know, pre-gore grind or like, you know, whatever. It almost had this sort of free form quality to it, right? You know, Weasel Walter infamously said, you know, 20 years ago, death metal is free jazz. And I was like, I think that's probably as close as it came to that, right? Just in terms of just complete sensory overload, you know what I mean? You know, look at like, I don't know, the first AC 7-inch. I won't say their name because my mom told me not to swear on this podcast.
Yeah.
44 song 7-inch on Action Records, which I first heard. That was like a musical touchstone for me. I first heard that on California University radio back in like, you know, 88 or something. And that blew my mind. I was like, wow, you know, the possibility, it instantly widened the possibilities. I've never heard anything like that, but I've never heard, you know, like I think I was like listening to nothing much more wacky than like David Lee Roth. And I think I had just discovered Metallica, both of whom I still love, but yeah, like a lot of the bands from that early grindcore time, it was really like lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
Right? And you heard it and it was just fucking bewildering, you know? It's just like, what is this? And well, Constant Hell captures that for me. Like I go to their show, I've seen them. I've seen them once, right? And I've seen clips and I'm gonna, but like live, it's like, you know, there's like 10 guitar amps, right?
Yeah.
The songs don't really appear to have any kind of like discernible structure, or like, I'm just like, how the fuck can they tell like what's going? They must practice.
Yeah. They
must practice like 8 nights a week.
I know for a fact that they practice because I just like did a bunch of video content for them, and I went to their practice space, and they played the whole set, and then like I had to edit this video, so I heard it.
Yeah.
And then I saw them play last night, and I was like, they're playing, these songs are the same songs. They know what they're doing. In the chaos, it is organized.
Tim Morse said in an interview that I heard just not so long ago, he said that Anal Cunt would practice like 5 nights a week for like, you know, 6 hours to get all of the like the blurcore stuff down.
Sure.
Right. You know, so I'm sure that's, you know, that again, this is like people dismissing our music as just like, it's just noise and feedback and anybody can do that. You know what I mean? It's just like, you know, you see Constant Hell and it's just like, this is like highly fucking regimented, you know, compositionally deft, and it packs a punch. It packs the necessary punch.
The thing that I really, really appreciate about Constant Hell is that it is the intention behind it. And, you know, with so much music, regardless of genre, but we can zoom into like modern heavy music and the intention behind why so many people are making what they're making. You know, it's like, why are you doing this? and like you can you see like a lack of like giving a fuck in so many bands that just feel like they're just here because they have either nowhere else to be, or they have some sort of ulterior motive, or they're still under the delusion that they can like make money
Yeah.
or get
Yeah.
babes or something, whatever it may be. And it's just like,
well, you talk about a band that makes no concessions to like listener, audience, whatever, you know what I mean? It's just like I find it, you know, on their demo, it was just like I found it difficult to like pick out, like tease out the guitar. You know what I mean? It's like the fucking, it just sounds like a fucking avalanche, you know?
Yeah.
Which, you know, that's those guys are doing it because, you know, that's what, you know, gets their gear.
Yeah.
I can't think of a whatever. They're doing it for the right reasons.
great guys,
you know?
and the most appropriately named band in the city.
Yes,
for sure.
Yes. So the next Brown Angel record will be Constant Hell cover album, and yeah, maybe we'll throw in some maybe the slow song from the Split 7-inch with 7 minutes of nausea.
Should we actually take a little bit of time and talk about the record? Maybe.
I don't know.
See what happens with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not?
What do you
Because
want to know about the record?
we have one.
Let's talk about this ding dong thing. All right. So you brought me let me take this out of them. It's going to be a shiny mess. So this is a Promise Maker, new record, right? You brought a copy
Yes.
for me.
New
Right
to
side up.
everybody except
Is
us.
it? Oh,
There you
is
go.
it?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
it.
I see.
That's it. That's it.
There you go.
It's like
It's
an obese
intentionally
strip, but not-
sideways.
Yeah.
Even the cover has to defy
Yes.
convention.
Layout.
See how long you do it.
Layout by John Roman. Very nice.
Hell yeah.
Very nice cover photo. Also.
So cool. So what am I curious about when it comes to this? So is this out
it is out.
in the world?
Yeah.
It's in the world.
Is it on your Bandcamp page?
It's on the label's Bandcamp page.
Ah,
Yes.
because I was skimming through your Bandcamp in preparation for our conversation. And I did
Correct.
not
Yeah.
see this. That's the
Okay.
astute observation I have made. So I haven't heard this yet, actually. I'm excited to check it out.
It was a process. It started in 2019,
Yeah.
2018.
2018.
2018.
Yeah, and it has been through the ringer, back and forth, and it is finally in the hands of people.
Yeah, long and storied history to this record. The songs themselves were written, I would say, between 2013 and 2017. And that was like an inside job, you know, for the most part.
Yeah.
But you know, where these guys came in crucially were a couple of the more kind of the more melodic songs on this one, like Guilt Tending. They really, you know, the rhythm section commands that song, right? The demo that I had is just really gets the idea, but it's just flaccid compared to what you hear on record, you know.
Great word.
Yeah. But so we did the initial tracking at Riggs Records.
Shout out to Sid.
Sid. Thank you for a great
This is whenever
sounding
he was operating
album.
out of Stanton Heights.
Yep.
Yeah, it was in like this old
Yeah,
church.
Grey Walker
basement.
tracked some
Yeah.
stuff there
yeah.
as well with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great ear, incredible gear, long, impressive resume, and actually persuaded me to get out of my comfort zone, to use a baritone guitar, baritone Paul Reed Smith, to boot.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
What was the name of the place we did the bass tracking at?
Oh man, I don't know, but we
It
had
was over
to.
in Dormont.
It was in Dormont.
Yeah,
I can't
we had-
remember the name of it.
Yeah, Mike.
Was it Just Records?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Mike-
Sid hooked us up
Right
with
on
it.
West Liberty.
Yeah.
That was because
I think
Mike's
that's just.
space rig was rattling furnishings and sculptures and stuff like off the walls upstairs. at the church. So we had
Oh, that's
we had
hysterical.
to relocate, because you were recording with your 810. Or,
Yeah. Well, it
Yeah.
was two. No, there was like it was really a 415.
415. Okay. Yeah. So that was causing some structural instability for the poor church, where Sid. But and then we kind of ran into some pre-COVID delays, and then of course COVID. And did you hear about that? Things,
Yeah,
things were kind of disrupted for a little while.
I've been asleep for about 4.5 years, but I'm hearing people talking about it. Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like Rip Van Winkle, you know what I mean? But yeah, it's like, but so with all of that, everything obviously was, at a grinding halt. And in that time, I think that we set about doing the final mixing, because the mixing took a while. There's a lot of back and forth with the mixing, and then the mastering
A little bit. Yeah.
was fairly straightforward. We mastered with James Plotkin again, who he's great to work with too, because he's like, the cool thing about this record for me personally is that there were some really prominent hands in helping us kind of get things together, right?
Yeah.
I mentioned Sid with his great resume and everything like that. He's talking about how he was playing in a band with Edgy 59 from Burning Witch, right? He was in that band Sinistar,
Mm-hmm.
and he had some crazy stories about that. But yeah, totally pro. And I remember I couldn't come up to do vocals and some of the additional guitar. And my wife and I were living in DC at the time. And I was like, well, shit, what? I got to get this done by the time, we're on deadline here. There's a time crunch. I was like,
Thought there was a deadline.
yeah. I was like, well, why don't and it just popped into my head. I was like, Inner Ear Studio. See if they're in the, I almost said a phone book. That dates me. I went to their website and I called the number, and guy answers, Inner Ear Studio. I said, hi. And I sounded like such a dork, like I do now. I said, is this the Don Zientara? He's like, yeah, this is the Don Zientara. He was very gracious. He was very gracious with me. That was about the extent of my fanboying, thankfully. But I was like, I would love to, I got this project, recorded it in Pittsburgh. I need to do the vocals. I would love to do them at Inner Ear, just because, obviously the history and, that some of my favorite, Void. Need I say more, right? And that first SOA 7-inch, you know what I mean, which has the best guitar solo ever recorded on it. So that was like, that was like a college dream for me, come true, and he was great to work with. Went into Inner Ear, tracked the vocals, and I remember he told me, and this really meant a lot. He says, thanked him profusely. He's like, no problem. He's like, it's good music done right.
That's sweet.
And I was like, that's going to be one of those things that I take with me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like whenever I'm down, whenever I'm kind of like, feeling the self-doubt, about like whether I got to keep doing this, I'm fucking 50 some years old, whatever. That's what I'm going to think of, those kind of affirmations, because that really meant the world. And then of course there was like 5 years of fallow. Well, we kind of waited for everything to fall into place. And I guess over the past like year and a half or so is whenever we really kind of got momentum in getting Promise Maker out. And it it was kind of like a muted victory lap for me, I think, just because like, you sit on something for so goddamn long, right?
Yeah.
Then finally it comes out and I'm just like, why am I not more excited about this? This is a really horrible promo for the record,
No, I get it.
But it's
No,
like,
I totally
but then,
get it.
But then whenever I got the vinyl in hand, I remember when John sent me the test pressing and I put that on, I was just like, fuck, yeah, this is it.
Mhm.
Like this is us, So yeah, it's out. You can find it at your local record stores
If you're local.
if you're local. Otherwise, Sleeping Giant Glossolalia help me out here, com or net.
Bandcamp.
Go to the Bandcamp. You can CompuServe us.
Just type Brown Angel Promise Maker into your favorite search engine,
Jeeves.
and I'm sure it'll come up
Jeeves, yeah.
in some facet.
But we're glad it's out. We are getting our ducks in a row as far as getting some live shows together. John's been doing a yeoman's job getting the booking together, looking at fall, sort of touring as much as we can, in earnest behind this.
Yeah.
And seeing some really like like the road and everything. It's not about, I'm an old man, like it's not about partying or like hanging out late or like, smoking, drinking anymore.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like, it's like making sure that my CPAP is charged, fucking, I got enough aspirin or whatever. But really what it's about is seeing our friends, and playing with our it's always great to. I was briefly in Microwaves and we did a few dates with Multicult from Baltimore, and just amazing band and lovely people. So I am sure that we will have similar encounters with, members of our tribe, right? Whenever we hit the road this time around.
Yeah. I mean, you put all like literal years of work into a thing, and then it's like, well, may as well go tell some people about it.
Yeah.
Why not?
And we got a backlog
from the album.
And the other thing is like we've got kind of like a war chest of material that we're now, so it's our hope that we can like, get our act together and like put together a couple of tunes, new stuff that will be on a future record, because there will be a future record.
Of course.
Until we can't do it anymore, I think. Or
so
one of us can't do it anymore.
Or you just don't feel like it, whatever, it's life.
Because it's I hesitate to sound as, I don't know, dorky as like, it's not a band, it's like a way of doing things, or it's like a way of life or whatever. It's just like, no, it's just something that we do, something that we need to do, something that I need to do, and do it as and when we can to the best of our ability. And if it sounds fucked up, it's probably because the circumstances were a little bit different, this time around. And it, again, as John says, it's a snapshot, it's a reflection of the time and our circumstances whenever we sat down to record.
Yeah, no, I get that. And like, if you are like, as a creator, if you're just consistently like doing the same thing and not evolving in any way, it's kind of like, I don't really know what the point of that is. Yeah. Unless you are a business, you are AC/DC and you just crank them out, baby.
Yeah. But there's a lot of, I think that there's a high art to that, though.
Totally. It's a different ballgame, but definitely.
I'm not into, like, I used to be into bands and into making music that was like, oh, we got to reinvent ourselves with every, release. And that just kind of, that becomes, I look back at my, like, this is going back, 30 years, right? I look back at some of my early bands and early attempts at like putting music together and that kind of thing. And it's just like, you're trying to be all things to all people. You know what I mean? It's like, once you discover Mr. Bungle, a band I adore, but a band that's very easily misinterpreted by a budding musician, right?
Sure.
Because it's like just because you think you can have that kind of stylistic what do you say polymath, right? Polyglotism doesn't mean that you should. You know what I
Sure.
mean? Like they did it, John Zorn did it. They kind of wrote the book on that. Like,
And the thing that's like, the thing that's interesting about a band like Mr. Bungle is I feel that like they're actually not as wild as their like legacy hypes them up to be.
right.
Fantastic band, but they're actually not that crazy. And I think when people try to like imitate it, they take it too far. There's like not a level, there's like a certain level of like tasteful resistance to the Bungle stuff that I think most people with like for lack of a better word, like an amateur perspective of trying to do it, they miss the boat on that.
Well, you saw the band themselves making some artistic, I'm not going to say missteps, you know what I mean? But like, in the early, the early or late 80s, mid to late 80s, listen to some of those demos. And it's just like, oh, okay, well, yeah. Kind of experimented with being a ska band, or being basically like trying to be a Fishbone clone,
Yeah.
It's like it was competent, but it was just, again, this is one of those kind of artistic cul-de-sacs, right? But then for them to have developed, what was most interesting to me about them, I think, is just what continues to interest me about like composers like Zorn, right? Who at one point they were known for like, oh, it's going to be lounge, and then it's going to be grindcore, and then it's going to be, these quick jump cut type of things. Well, at some point he just stopped doing that, right? And a lot of, people who discover, Bungle or Zorn or like associated projects like that, I think they kind of pine for the days that like, oh, it used to be, these guys could like speak all musical languages and everything like that. And it's just like, well, he probably developed other interests
Sure.
as far as, expressing what he needs to express through different means.
And there's honestly something that is, as somebody that had my era of wanting to, of digesting a lot of that type of music and wanting to do my creative interpretation of that, is that I find that like when you like put yourself in this box where it's like no holds barred, I could do whatever I want, it's actually like a pretty surprising set of handcuffs.
It
like
is.
You really box yourself in because it becomes this like option paralysis type of thing. And
You're
then
totally right.
The intention goes out the window back to like, why am I doing this? Just because things need to be crazy. It's like, well, I'm not even thinking about the composition or the intention anymore. I'm just trying to be wacky.
I'm jealous of these guys because whenever they came up playing music, and especially John, because, John actually released like records and such, right? You can go back to his music and say like, oh, there's not, it sounds mature, right? In the sense that here are some folks who have a pretty good idea of how they want to sound. And it's not like, I don't know what I was doing at the time is like, okay, we got like a 3-chord kind of like hardcore punk song or whatever. Yeah. And now I have to put a bossa nova section in it, which I fucking did, with the crank radio from back in the day, but, I guess that was just what I needed to do.
Sure.
Those are the hoops I had to jump through to kind of find out, what, I don't know. I guess it's like dating, right? It's like, you date because you want to find out what you don't want.
Yeah, but I mean, also too, it's like just over time, it's just kind of like, look, like I've done all I feel like I can creatively do with this sort of like everything at the wall sort of approach to music. And like, it becomes like a lot more, at least for me, it became a lot more creatively fulfilling to like dial things back and to focus on the intention of compositions
and focus on the subtleties.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I mean, John does quite a lot of that whenever, like, I remember this one. remember that one. It was the one tune I was trying to think of earlier on Agony Harvest. You're like, oh yeah, the one with the dance hall beat. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? And you know, I don't think it's really a dance hall beat, but like it draws elements from that, but it's
Yeah.
not like oh, you know, we're like Shabba Ranks now, you know, like
right.
Daddy Freddy.
Definitely not. But it was more like I think at the time I was drawing a little bit from that, but it was never.
But you're just taking taking a color off the palette.
Yeah, it was just
you know what I
never
mean?
the intention to make it dance hall.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you know, I'm being a little facetious because I think we were just that was just like our pet name for it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it was a unique rhythm that I had never heard before in any of our stuff. I think I really heard. And it was a weird kind of, I think we were doing, you know, we got the Brentwood sound, you know, is in our DNA, I guess, you know what I mean? Even though we're not from Brentwood, but it's like we love Jumbo and Don Cab and, you know, all of like the Pittsburgh, you know, Iron
Even
City.
though Don Cab isn't from
Brentwood. Yeah. I'm saying one guy is from Brentwood. That's Jason. Yeah. But like, yeah, the loud, heavy, mathy bands,
Yeah.
right? They kind of put Pittsburgh on the map for a certain subset of, you know, geek, like, you know, us three, probably four. So, but yeah, there was a weird sort of like, I don't know, 3/5 thing happening in that song too.
Don't know.
It was weird. I don't know. We don't play it anymore. Maybe we should learn it. I don't know. But anyway, I like those kinds of things, and whether you do it or not, you know, I don't know, but you probably do because, you know, you shit what you eat, you know, like Mike is what impressed me about Mike whenever we first started playing was just your breadth of knowledge of like, were you like a program director or something? Like you had such a vast like vocabulary of music that you knew about.
No,
you know,
just on music.
yeah,
Mike has every Sleazebees record.
Yes.
that and that's only part of it. Yeah, that's only part of it. But like, you know, Mike was bringing stuff. He's just like, oh yeah, check this out. This is Headbutt, you know, or this is like, you know, Bastard Kestrel, or like these impossibly like obscure, like, you know, UK noise industrial type of bands that, you know, released like a 10-inch or something in like 1987, you know. And but Mike brought a lot of that, just that really it's like that almost that like clandestine underground music knowledge, right, to the table. And then plus, you know, you like jazz and that kind of thing too. Doesn't show when you're playing, but you know.
Sleazebees. Don't ever forget the sleaze.
Yeah. Dangerous Toys.
Great band. I'll argue that.
I like that first Dangerous Toys record.
It's great.
Hey,
No, it's great.
Watchtower.
Not as
So
good as
don't get me
Yeah,
started
dude.
on Watchtower.
Fucking- yeah, that's like I
we were
said.
talking about Watchtower.
Don't get me started on Watchtower. like really, don't.
As much as we're like
First
thrash
Dangerous Toys,
maniacs,
still better than Watchtower.
yeah. As much as we're like thrash, here's okay. Case in point, too weird for the metal crowd, too metal for the weird crowd. As big of like just, you know, dirthead like thrash, you know, kids that we are still to this day. I don't think we've ever recorded or composed for Brown Angel like anything that resembles like thrash metal, right?
Sure.
No.
Maybe we will. Maybe we will sometime if the spirit moves us, but you know, but it's I do like the idea of, you know, like we were talking about before, rather than sort of cross-pollinating in a sense where it's like, okay, yeah, we got this part, then we got this part is radically different, and you know, it shifts the style or whatever. Just taking very subtle elements from things and more focusing on, you know, for us, it's not about maybe like technical note runs and, progressive kind of, although we love all that stuff, it doesn't really work in our music as
Sure.
such. But focusing more like on extreme timbres, right? A big artistic bucket list for me was to work with Ben Opie. Ben Opie, saxophonist, composer. I've been a fan of his since he's going to be embarrassed. I've been a fan of his since about 1993, whenever he was in his band. He had a fantastic group called Watershed. Later became Watershed 510. And it was always like, as a kid in the early 90s who was just like geeking out on the downtown New York avant jazz scene or whatever, I was like, oh, I'd love to incorporate something like that someday. Work with Ben someday, And, we got to be good friends over the years. And I think maybe it was probably around the time that we were composing the See That I Am Scourged. I was just like, whoa. I was like, some ripping like sax would be awesome in this. Just like teeth to the reed, just shrieking, because it really, that's what I'm feeling,
Sure.
in that's kind of the closest approximation of the sensation that I want to get across, right? Basically a song about just, crippling self-doubt and denial and anxiety and, fear and all the bad stuff. And I was like, okay, I need a tantrum, and Ben can deliver, right? So he, sent me his tracks, and I was just completely blown away. And I think that, we play with him not only in that song, but we had a couple of other tunes that have some, sax, and then like then we're going to talk about maybe doing some like other instrumental like augmentation, but he's like down and he's game, and he's like, I never once thought that like, he's just like a jazzer, you know what I mean? Because like he's the dude. Not there's anything wrong with that,
Yeah, no.
obviously, but this is a dude that saw, Swans in 1981 at the Electric Banana,
Well, it's like we're all the same. Like, again, it's just like, we make loud, heavy stuff, but like that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And then on the flip, you might have people that are into making that type of stuff. It's just what they do creatively, but they also enjoy the loud, scary stuff.
And
on the flip.
arguably the stuff that he was making, in his early days with like even this shit with like Car Sickness or, some of his other, electronic projects. They're just as abrasive, if not more so, than
Sure.
anything that we could do, today. So
Sure.
I'm really glad to be collaborating with him and the likes of folks like him,
Hell yeah.
without becoming an avant jazz band. You know what I mean? Like, we'll just take a little element here, and it's like I said, it's more for the timbre, the mood.
Yeah.
Than it is for, the fancy notes.
You're hearing something, you're feeling something, you just gotta go for it.
Yeah.
Indubitably.
Mm-hmm.
Well, gentlemen, the train's coming around
Trains
the
coming
mountain
around.
here on our podcast journey.
Choo choo.
Had a nice fun chat with everybody. Great to be in conversation with all of you.
Always.
I'm stoked to
Excellent.
listen to this. I'm actually, thank you for giving me the record, because now I can
Absolutely.
listen to it the first time the way it should be
Absolutely.
listened to.
Well, you still owe us $25.
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a milkshake.
Or a milkshake.
25 or a milkshake,
Yeah,
25
yeah.
and a milkshake.
Yeah.
Does
or the
on the
or the-
Bandcamp page, can I send the label a milkshake?
Or the milkshake 12-inch with dub mix by Keyless.
Yes, that'd be the way to go.
Yeah. Keyless.
Yes. Yes. Well, before we
Great
get
song.
going, is there anything that anybody wants to say or add to the
We
conversation
got
here?
a show coming up.
Yes, we do.
Playing September 27th at the Descendants of Crom Festival.
Oh, yes.
Here in Pittsburgh at the Thunderbird. Let me see if I have thought I brought something here. Yeah,
All right.
right here. This is the Descendants of Crom 7 Heavy Underground Festival. And we're on there with Black Tusk, Crypt Sermon, Ringworm, Rebreather, Ed Hockley, Cherubs, bunch of other bands too.
Yeah.
It'll be a good time. I imagine it's going to sound good in there.
Yeah, it's a great space.
Yeah.
Shy does a great job every year with that too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Shout
she
outs to
really
Shy.
puts her heart
Yeah,
and
it's
soul
always
into
a good
that.
party.
Hell yeah. Great. Anything else? Are we good?
Mike,
We are good.
we're good.
Yeah, I got nothing else.
We're good. We're great. And that's been a podcast. So I suppose without further ado, I'll do my little outro.
Do the outro.
Okay. Well, that is all, folks. One more time, Brown Angel, thank you so much for being here. I'll be back again. I actually don't know when I will be back. This is the last episode of the summer season. But I'll be back soon. The room might look a little different. Spoiler alert for anyone, but whatever. Who knows? But regardless, I am Brian Sykes-Howell. This is Start the Beat podcast. It is still the year 2025. And until next time, take care of yourselves. Take care of the people around you. Peace out. We did it. That has been a podcast.
Need
Thank
a
you.
Spies Like Us poster.